For more on the administration's foreign policy, we turn to CBS News senior security contributor and former deputy director of the CIA, Michael Morell. So, North Korea says they are ready to go to war. They say that they hope for the best but prepare for the worst. You say they have the capacity to strike the United States right now with ICBMs. Do you see North Korea potentially launching a preemptive strike?
The reason that Kim Jong-un has nuclear weapons, wants the ability to deliver them to the continental United States, is because he believes that we want to get rid of him. He believes we want to unite the peninsula on South Korea's terms. And he sees nuclear weapons as the ultimate deterrent against that. He also knows that if he ever uses them, that we will respond with massive force, annihilate him. So my view is that he will only ever use them in a last-ditch effort to survive. So I don't think we need to worry about the bluster that we see from him in the last 24 hours.
Is he worried about the bluster that he hears and he sees from the president of the United States?
Yes, exactly, because it feeds his paranoia about the United States. It feeds his view that we are out to get him. So he started this crisis with a series of provocations after the president came to office that was designed for a specific diplomatic purpose of getting us to the negotiating table. So we'll give him something for his bad behavior. That's what the Clinton administrations did. That's what the Bush administration did. The Obama administration stopped that.
They ignored him, essentially.
They ignored him, essentially. He wants to get back to the Clinton and Bush years where he does something bad, we come running to the negotiating table and we give him something, right? We buy something from him. He wants to get back to that. That's why he started this crisis. We're feeding the crisis with our bluster and by sending aircraft carriers into the area. We're feeding that. The best thing we could do is, as you said, ignore him. Maybe tighten sanctions a little bit every time he does something bad. But basically, we need to deter him from ever using or selling a nuclear weapon, and we need to build our defenses, our missile defense in the region, so that we can deal with him in the launch phase, and our missile defense in the United States so we can deal with him in the terminal phase of a missile launch. That's how we have to deal with North Korea.
You said something interesting. He believes that we want to get rid of him.
Yes.
We know that he is a brutal dictator. Is that stated policy of the United States? Do we want to get rid of Kim Jong-un? We don't. Right.
We don't.
I mean, we want to unify let's put it this way. Do we even want to unify the peninsula?
No, the only thing we care about is his behavior.
That's
right?
it.
His behavior. Stop your bad behavior, and you can do what
whatever
you want. Do what you want internally. Stop your bad behavior, right? He does not believe that.
Interesting. All right, so let's talk about China, their role in North Korea. This past week, the president met with Xi Jinping. He came away saying he learned a lot. Apparently, the president of China, or the Chinese Communist Party leader, explained to him a little bit about Korean history and Chinese history. Do you think they're going to be able to help in this situation?
So there's two issues. China is key to putting pressure on North Korea. 80% of North Korea's trade is with China. So sanctions don't really matter unless China plays.
Right.
So there's two issues with China. Their willingness to squeeze North Korea, and then their ability. The willingness is questionable. Why? Because they fear an unstable North Korea more than they fear an unstable nuclear-armed North Korea more than they fear a nuclear-armed North Korea. They don't want to bring about instability in North Korea that would result in loose nuclear weapons, no control over those nuclear weapons, and refugees flowing into China. So they have never been willing to squeeze North Korea really hard because they're afraid of the instability. That's the willingness question. Then you have the ability question. There's an assumption when people talk about this that if China only did squeeze them hard, North Korean behavior would change. I question that assumption. I don't think North Korean behavior would change even if China squeezed them. So I don't think China's the answer.
China's not the answer.
China's not the answer.
What is?
So it's what I said, right? This guy's not going to give up these weapons because he believes he needs them to survive. He's never going to want to have a deal with the United States because he needs the United States as an enemy, because he asked his people for significant sacrifices to deal with the enemy of the United States. So there is no deal with the United States in his mind. So the only way to deal with this guy is to deter him. Just the way we used to deter the Soviet Union from using nuclear weapons, we need to deter him. We need to make it clear to him that if he ever uses nuclear weapons, he will be annihilated, right? We need to make that perfectly clear to him, and then we need to strengthen our defenses. That's the way you deal with this guy. And then don't react, right, to everything that he does.
So do we not, if he does test a nuclear weapon this weekend, what should be our response?
I would not respond militarily unless you want to bring about war on the peninsula, right?
Because that will be the result.
Exactly. I would tighten sanctions, right? And I would ask China to tighten sanctions. But you don't want to tighten sanctions so much that you bring about that instability that we all fear.
Right. Wow, it is a conundrum. And I do know that the President Obama told the incoming administration, there's a lot of things that you're going to have to deal with. This is the single biggest issue of your presidency.
And President Obama said that for two reasons. One is because he knew what capabilities they had, and he knew those capabilities were increasing in sophistication, and he also knew that Kim Jong-un was going to test President Trump to try to get him back to the negotiating table. That's why he told President Trump that this was the biggest issue.
Michael Morell, thank you so much.
Great to be with you.
Yeah, thank you.